Cast with Dr. Janine Bennett, a writing coach and author with 5 published books to her name and a few more in the works. Through this podcast, Dr. Bennett aims to help listeners tell their story within and shares all the industry secrets of self-publishing and book marketing. And now, here's your host, Dr. Janine Bennett.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Your Story Within podcast. Today, I'm excited to have Kathleen Sweeney from BookBrush here to talk about some new updates with the tool. And I'm really excited about everything she's going to share. I'm just going to hand it over to Kathleen and let her talk a little bit about BookBrush today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here, and I always love talking about BookBrush. To give you a little BookBrush background, we have been in the author space since 2018, and we started as a do-it-yourself platform for authors to be able to create all their own marketing graphics, all those things that you didn't know you needed till you got out there in the world of book publishing and like, oh, it's not just writing the book. There's a lot of other things. And then along the way, we've added more services, and, we have people come into our help desk and say, can you just do it for me? So our do-it-yourself platform isn't going anywhere. We just hit 100,000 users last year, which was super exciting. I like to celebrate everything. So we celebrated that. Yeah. And then we've added some options where, depending where you're at in your writing journey, we can do things for you. So we do custom book covers. We added an option that we call hourly concepts, where you can hire us as your VA for those things that you don't love. Maybe you're intimidated by Amazon A+ content. We can do that for you. Book trailers and those vertical videos that people use as reels. Those are probably the 3 things we do the most on the hourly concept side of things. And then from there, we had folks who just really want a social media presence. They know it's important. Our tools can help them do it, but there's also only so many hours in the day for people, and they want to be writing. And so we launched last fall full service social media management. And that's really what I wanted to talk the most about, because it's really cool.
Yes. So friends, I've been using BookBrush for years. I want to say since 2019, before the pandemic. And I love it. I've used it for all of my books. And it is a wonderful tool. It really is amazing because, as Kathleen just said, as authors, we just want to write. All this other stuff that comes afterwards, it's like, deer in the headlight look. I don't know how to do things. How do I get these things created and the time that it takes to do it? And so when she said that she has these services now, which I'm definitely going to check out, I'm going to start, to be honest, with the hourly concepts. The book trailer, I got to tell you, because I've never been able to master that on my own. I just don't have that creative mindset, I guess, that visual piece. So I'm going to start with that. But there's so many things that she's going to show you today, folks, and you're going to love it.
Awesome. Well, the reason I think social media is so important, I'm going to throw a couple little, who doesn't love numbers every once in a while? So 4.59 billion people use social media platforms. That's a whole lot. And so I talk about this sometimes, but everybody's a detective these days. So if somebody said, did you see Dr. Janine Bennett's newest book? They might go out, look on social media. They're going to play detective and see what they can find out. If the author's social media platforms either are non-existent or don't have a lot of content, it's like your book's job interview. Your book might not get the job because they go out and look and they're like, oh, there's not a lot. They might look for a book on the same topic by a different author that has a more robust social media presence, and that's what's going to capture their attention. So this is why we think it's so important for the author to have a well-branded social media presence. But we know that not everyone can do it themselves. So that's what the full service is. And I'm going to actually screen share and talk a little bit more about it. So here is a lot of the details and why we're BookBrush. So everybody on our team here is author-centered and author-focused. And I think that really brings it together for folks who are wanting to hire out their social media and give themselves the time to focus on writing. So I'll talk a little bit about what we offer here and why you should choose a social media manager. So I've got 6 key points to talk through on why choose a social media manager. A social media manager, firstly, is here to stay on top of the trends. So there's so many trends, and trends are trends because they work, but they're a moving target. And that's not always something the authors want to take the time to learn and focus on. There's plenty of other parts of the writing journey that they might be focusing on, not trends in social media. So these are things that are falling under the category of hashtags, hashtag strategy, which hashtags to use, how many to use, how often to post, the optimal time of day to post, all those best practices and trends that are out there. We stay updated on those and handle that part of it for your social media, so you don't have to focus on the trends. Next, we are here to ensure consistency. So here's the thing. Not that anybody said, did Dr. Janine Bennett post yet today? They're not necessarily on the edge of their seat. But when you post consistently, we're talking daily, people can consider that brand loyalty. They are expecting that. It's like a warm hug from you. So with our full service social media management, we post 6 days a week. I think this is really important because that consistency is always there. And we're also keeping a pulse on the best time of day to post. We can look at the metrics behind the scenes and see when you have the largest amount of your followers or desired followers are on those platforms, and then post on those days. I think this then brings us pretty easily to the next topic, which is, what are you posting? 6 days a week seems like a lot if it's just buy my book every day, right?
Right. That was that was running through my mind as you were talking. I'm glad you're touching on it.
Good. I think we're reading each other's mind. This is great. Okay, so what do we create for you to post? So we are creating all the content. So we take that off of your plate. It's a mixture of static graphics and reels, but our whole point here is to create an experience on your page. So these are not images daily that say buy my book with a call to action and a 99-cent price tag. We are going to have a mixture of things that people in your genre like to see. It can be quotes from your book. It might be quotes about reading. If you write Scottish Highlands romance, you'll have those kind of backgrounds. If you've got paranormal romance or something with fantasy, the different colors, the different types of images, all of those are going to be on brand for you. And we have project managers dedicated to each author that we handle. And then they get to know the aesthetic of the author, and we can craft the content that's perfectly aligned with your brand. You also have 100% ownership of everything we create. So you can go back and use that elsewhere. Now, when we create a static graphic that's for Tuesday, you're going to have that on Facebook and on Instagram on Tuesday. And then it's in your Drive file, and you could use it in your newsletter. You could put it anywhere else you want to. So I'm a big fan of getting extra mileage out of something that you have purchased. So yeah, use those.
I love cross promotion on different platforms. Yes. So is that what you typically use? Instagram and Facebook, or do you use more platforms?
So this is a great question. When we launched this, we launched with Facebook and Instagram. Those two are tied for the top two that people find the most effective for these things and where people congregate the most. So that plan is called our meta plan, and we post to Instagram and Facebook. Again, mostly static images, but one reel a week. And those are those cool vertical videos like a mini book trailer. Yeah. But then, the authors tell us where we want to go or where they want to go. And so some of our earliest adopters said they'd like more of a video component. So here in the last 2 months, we developed a video social media plan that focuses on TikTok and YouTube. And it's 15 reels per month that we create for you.
Oh, wow. That's a lot, actually.
It's super cool. So the thing and to talk about there is TikTok in particular has a more organic feel. So the author really needs to be part of it. It's not just the book trailer kind of thing. And so in order to achieve that, because not a lot of people have a lot of video content already of themselves, we record a professional podcast interview with the author quarterly. Then we can use that for the little pieces to make the clips. So we clip from it to create your content throughout the month. And that is the piece that so many authors are missing, is having themselves out there on social media. In fact, some of the folks that signed up for it said, I don't even want to be out there, but I know I need to. So that's why I'm going to do it.
Yes. Well, and that's another part of this service that I think is so wonderful is you guys are the experts in the author space. So you're telling us nicely, okay, you need to have your face out there. Even if you want to, continue writing your book, we still need to get your face out there. So it helps so much with the engagement and really brings the author brand to life.
It does, and we'll make you look good. So you're not all worried about all those parts. We'll record, but it's recorded, so then we can clip in and pick the parts that are the best. I was the guinea pig for our first interview that we did practice, and it was so warm and easy because I could say, what was my answer going to be for that question? And then they would ask the question again, and then I would get it. And so those clips are really nice because it's the best of the best when we create those for you.
Gotcha.
So a couple other things that are big points on why you choose a social media manager. Audience engagement is so important, and not a lot of people have the time, amongst all the other things people tell you, oh, post this many times, use unique, high quality content, stay on top of the trends. Like, oh my goodness. Then you're supposed to engage with your audience too. So that's a piece that we handle for you. We will dedicate up to an hour a week, commenting back and forth and creating chatter and engaging with your audience in a way that feels authentic to you. So if you have an old soul voice, we will mirror that. If you like to use a lot of emojis, we will comment and interact that way too. But that lets you focus elsewhere. But on social media, it looks like you're really active and people gravitate towards that. All right, 2 other things on here. So data analysis. We are monitoring the pulse, daily and weekly, but then monthly we prepare analytics for you, and we are monitoring your followers, your reach, and your engagement on those social platforms to help you make decisions on what you want to promote next. So that gives you kind of the back behind the scenes on what's going on there. And all the things here that we're doing are to contribute to give you an effective presence. What do people find when they look you up on social media? Social proof. And if you don't have that effective presence with high quality content that tells people what you and your books are all about, they're maybe not as likely to buy the books. So we feel like this social media is a necessary evil. And if it's not your cup of tea, then that's something that we can do for you and help you achieve your goals with a well-branded presence out there.
Awesome. I think this was fantastic. Authors, friends, this is so important. Everything Kathleen says is spot on, because if you're not out there, if you're not engaging, if your brand is not out there, people won't find you. And if they don't find you, they can't give you book reviews. They can't buy your book. I mean, bottom line, you're writing, but your writing's going to go nowhere if no one finds you. So this is a fantastic service to get your name out there and build that audience you've been wanting to build and going forward.
I like my numbers. 56% of book shoppers discover new books online. Is yours there for them to discover? You want to make sure that you're out there.
Yes.
So let me talk a little bit more specifically on reasons why the social media management can be really awesome for you. It says, I spend a lot of time telling people, it would be really good, but why? So the time savings is what we focus on for you. And I'll talk about this in today's world. Building this brand requires social media presence, and that takes time. This doesn't happen overnight, but managing it might not be your thing. That's okay. We have people on our side who nerd out about hashtags. They love that kind of thing. So offload this to people who like those kind of tasks, and you can focus on what you enjoy, whatever that might be, whether it's writing, spending more time with your family. I think social media falls to the bottom of the task list for a lot of people as a dreaded task. So if it's not bringing you joy and it's something that you can offload and still have that presence humming along, that time savings is worth its weight in gold. The second reason why we think this is a good service for you with the BookBrush team is you have a specific project manager along with a team of 3 or 4 folks underneath dedicated to your account. So we'll call it like a layer cake. There's the first person you interact with, but then people who are good at different things, people who are good at the static graphics, people who create those really awesome reels, and all of those things. We work several weeks ahead and schedule out the post. So it's not like things are going to fall through the cracks, even if somebody was not available or ill. This is all set with contingency plans in place so that your social media keeps rocking along. The third thing is this video content. And on the meta plan with Facebook and Instagram, you've got 4 reels per week, and they're really professionally crafted and they look really cool. And then if you did the other plan, of course, that's 15 reels when you're doing the video plan, 15 per month. Video content is just not in the wheelhouse of a lot of people. Even Janine at the beginning said, I think I'm going to hire out a book trailer. And so if you want those kind of things to keep your social pages fresh and engaging, our team's really good at creating those for you. And then the fourth thing, and I talk about this all the time, this is a long game. So social media isn't something you can hop in. I'm going to post a bunch this weekend and then I'm good. You never know when people are going to look you up, and you need consistency and time. So we've tailored this for those that are investing this time, building your brand, working on your hashtags, looking at the trends, and getting this all set up in a nice way for you. And regular posting and learning is part of that. So it just takes so much time for an individual to do, but because we're part of the pulse of this and we enjoy doing it, it doesn't even feel like a long game to us, but we are in it to win it for you long term. And then fifth, I spend a lot of time also talking about social proof here and indirect sales. So indirect sales is the opposite, if you will, of direct sales. So direct sales are the ones that you can see right there on your Amazon page. Indirect is how many potential buyers went to look for you before purchasing, and then they bought your book because there was a lot of content there, or they did not buy your book because they didn't find much out there. There wasn't anything for them to consume. Those indirect sales are what you can be missing out on if you don't have that well-branded social media presence.
Fantastic. All good stuff, Kathleen.
I think so. I'm super excited about it, but I also want you in the boat for the right reasons. So here's 2 reasons why you would not want to do this with us. Because, we're realistic. We want to make sure that it's a good fit for folks. So here's why you might not want to opt for this. If your top priority is making back the money you spend on social media, indirect sales, and not indirect, but direct. Yeah. So that's such a tricky spot. But if your top priority is direct sales, there's probably things that you can do with direct social media advertising that could be more effective, different ads and things that you can buy. This is more of a long game of establishing your presence. So I don't want anybody to think if I pay for this service, I'm going to go viral this month and make bajillions of dollars. It's the long game that we're looking at. So we want you to know that part of it. And then the control, because ultimately, once we get to know you in those first few weeks, then we want the creative freedom to optimize with the graphics, the things we're creating, looking at the analytics and pivoting and things like that. So if you're a control freak, it might make you crazy because you want to, be a part of all of it. And if you had an extra 4 hours a week, you'd probably be doing this anyway, and nobody has that. So we want people who are comfortable once we get to know you, letting us, for the most part, take control and get this rocking and rolling for you.
Well, I'll tell you, Kathleen, that's one of the other things that I like about BookBrush. You really are a company that is out for the author to help us be the best that we can be, to be a success in whatever genre. And the company really has a heart for people. And so I appreciate that you say, look, here's what we can offer, but we want to make it clear, here's some reasons why it might not be a good fit for you. So you put the control back into the decision-making process of the specific author, and what their needs are. And I really appreciate that authenticity and genuine heart behind it.
100%. We don't have any way that you can sign up for this without meeting with me first. We look at your pages. We make sure that we can handle it for you and that we feel we're a good fit for you and you feel that we're a good fit. Both sides are thinking, hey, this sounds like a really, maybe fun's not the right word. My idea of fun and yours might be different, but a good partnership, and we can put this together for you. And then we talk about the contract and the start dates and all of those things. So it's not hands off at all. It's pretty hands on. We get to know each author individually, and then we match them with their project manager and get it all set up. But you're right. We have a heart for authors. We want to do this for people, but we want to make sure that they, go in eyes wide open, that it's going to be a long game. All right. So on top of this, who doesn't love examples? So we talked about it was really cool, but let's see some examples. So full disclosure, when folks sign up for the social media management, there's a spot in the contract that you can say if it's okay for us to share your work as an example. So basically, we will not spill your beans if it's not okay with you. But this is an author who said that it's fine. So this is author Scott Blade. He's one of our earliest adopters here, and I'll scroll just a little bit. He's been doing this since November. So we'll talk about a couple things here. Not all these are buy my book. They're not salesy necessarily every time. Like, look how cool this is. This is a quote from an Amazon review or a review from somewhere with the stars, with the book picture. We're working on his hashtags for his name, his series, his character name, and some different ones sprinkled in there. But it's not super salesy. Here's another example, a quote from his character with an image that fits his genre. So when I close out and we scroll, just think about, you do not see any pink and purple flowers, nothing beachy. You get that intense thriller vibe, suspense and thriller. So I think that's important to see. A couple other things that we talk about here. Let me find one. So Facebook in particular doesn't like you to leave Facebook. And so if there's a link in your caption that sends you off of Facebook, let's say to Amazon or somewhere, that can get pushed down in the algorithms because they don't want you to leave. So what I'm bringing up here is we can periodically put a QR code in there, which is something that isn't impactful with the algorithms, but I feel like courtesy of COVID, everybody knows how to use a QR code now when we came back paperless. And so that can lead people to those different places for you. So that's something we put in, and we would talk to you about where that would direct people. So that's just a look at an example. But I want to talk about the reels, because the reels are really a cool selling point. And once you see them, you're like, oh. So reels are those vertical movie pieces here. I'll play one for you and you get to see it. Isn't that cool?
That is so cool. Yes.
And could you hear it?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. And I'll do another one just because I think they're so neat here. So there's a second example. So the thing about the reels, and this is what we talked about, that video content, those are hard for just a lot of people to create, but we have people who are good at that kind of thing. And then again, you have 100% ownership. So if you're doing the Meta plan, which is Facebook and Instagram, you could then take those and put them elsewhere. You could use them on your website. You could use them on YouTube or TikTok if you're on either of those platforms. So you have extra pieces of content that you've paid for that you can repurpose. And I'm, again, all about getting extra mileage out of those.
Yes. Me too. Me too.
So let's do another example. So this one was, your thriller suspense. We'll do a different one here. So this is Charlotte English, and this is more a feel-good fantasy and mysteries with magic. So I'll do a little scrolling.
Totally different feel already.
It is. And I also will scooch back a little. We recommend focusing generally on one book per month because not everybody sees all of your posts. So you can see that helps us create that experience on the page. The backgrounds here are completely different than on the thriller page. You've got all the more fantasy and stuff. And then as we move backwards, we're on a different book, and there's quite a few posts on that one. But notice most of them don't say, buy my book, 99 cents. So these are not salesy all the time. They're an experience. So I think they're really cool. And then we can see here's a couple months worth. So there was one book, then we transitioned to the next one and this one. And so you'll plan out with your project manager a couple months in a row usually, and then go from there. But it kind of helps the team gets into those different themes with those books and creates that experience for you. So let's do some reels here too. We'll go back.
It's like it's a visual story unfolding about the story.
Yes, with just little quips and quotes and things like that. And sometimes either a review or a bit from the blurb, those kinds of things. Now, full disclosure, we don't read the books. There's not time for that, but we get as much content as we can. So here, I'll do some reels here for you. We'll do one of the first. I haven't even seen this one. I could spend all my time watching these, but we'll see what this one is. I like that one too. Sometimes I think, I'll sit around all day and watch all these reels. I would never get anything else done. But anyway, so those are just some examples to show you how the different genres work and what we put together when we're working with each individual author. Nothing is cookie cutter here. It's all specific with the author's brand and colors and themes and genre and all of that kind of thing.
Well, I wanted to touch on something you just said. You said you could sit there all day and look at reels and not get anything done. Well, authors, friends, that's what happens when we get on social media, isn't it? We don't write our books. We all of a sudden we're scrolling and 2 hours or 3 hours have passed and we're like, great. And then we get overwhelmed because we didn't make our deadline or meet our word count or whatever the case may be. And so this is another example of why that service that they're offering is so fantastic. It keeps us from an additional distraction that we don't need in our journey.
Right. And then you end up feeling badly that you spent all your time over there. Like, I didn't get the things done that I was supposed to. I had my Post-it note today for all the things to do. Nothing is crossed off.
Exactly. So we can sit back, write our books, drink our tea or coffee, whatever, and know that it's all handled. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for letting me share this today. We are super excited about it. Again, the consultation for the social media is totally free. We can go through how it might work for you. So don't be shy about that to meet with me. It's just me and I'm friendly and we can talk about it.
So, I want to touch on that as well. So you're the initial contact. And then, so what happens once you say, okay, we're a good fit for each other? Do you assign them to the team? And then what does a day in the life of the team with the new author look like?
This is such a good question. Okay, yes. So once we decide and the author says, yes, I'm going to go for it, I send out a contract that they sign, and that has the question, can we share your work as an example and those kind of things. And we talk about the start date. So we start folks on the 1st of the month. And so we're filling for June 1st and July 1st now and so on. So we figure out what's the right start date for you. And there's actually a lot of prep work. So we want to do a super good job. So we soft launch everybody. We'll use June 1st as an example. All those folks are going to soft launch May 15th. So we've got 2 weeks of a free bonus period where we're posting, making sure you like the graphics, that we're on brand for you. We have the access. So when you're starting to pay on the 1st of the month, we are locked and loaded and everything's rolling. So I like that kind of thing, but even before May 15th, here's what happens. So once you say I'm in and sign the contract, then I introduce you to your project manager via email. And they're both great, but each of them has some pet genres, if you will. So you may find that I assign you to one or the other. And then your biggest time commitment is the onboarding call with your project manager. So that's usually at least an hour, you and the project manager, and you talk about a lot of your aesthetics, the book, where you're going to start. You'll probably plan out at least 2 months, what book is first? Do you have any releases coming up? Make your game plan. On our side, behind the scenes, we're setting up a special drive file that's specific to you where you can drop things in. And then you could also pull the things out of there once there are things in there. So that is like the hub for you. And that way, if you want to take out those reels or images and put them somewhere else, you can get to them. So once you've met with your project manager, they get the team all to work. The bonus period images you'll usually look at first and kind of approve. Then from there, when we seem to have gained your trust, we just keep rolling with it. So there's not a lot of time commitment for the author or from the author once we're rolling. It's just that onboarding time frame.
Okay. One other question. And this could be because I'm also a service business. So on my end, I'm thinking, well, what would I ask my new clients? So you said that you guys don't have time to read the books, and I totally understand that. So is it up to the author to pull out the quotes they want to use then? Or is that something the manager talks to them about to say, what do you want posted?
So we tweak it and tailor it to each person. So some people already have quotes and content and things, and we don't say no to content if you want to send that along. Otherwise, we can pull things from the blurb. Sometimes they'll send the ebook and we can grab things from it. That you're not required to give us the ebook, but that's an option that we can do. Okay. And then we can talk about how specific from an image perspective. Like I had one person say, as long as they're in a ball gown, it's fine. But then it could be that if you're really particular about your Christmas trees and it needs to be a balsam, not a Fraser, then we need to know that, that's a fake example. But, if you're really specific, then we can work through and find those images with historical fiction. That's important, maybe more so than some of the modern things. We can be specific, like if your character's brunette, we can put that in there. Some people aren't real worried. One author said, I have 70 books. I'd have to read it again. I don't know what their hair color is. And so we see what the author's comfortable with. So you can give us quotes. We can pull, if we have the Amazon link, things from Amazon reviews and from the blurb there. So there's a lot of different ways we can get the content. It doesn't have to be a large time commitment from the author.
Gotcha. That makes sense. How long has BookBrush been doing this, the social media management? We launched the Meta Plan, which is Facebook and Instagram, last November. So that has been rolling along and pretty fun. We just do we call them a small class of authors launching on the 1st of each month so that we can do a really good job getting everybody onboarded. And then it gets a little easier. Of course, it's still the work to create the things, but we kind of know what the author wants. So it's busiest in that onboarding month for that new group. And we just keep doing that. Then the new video plan, actually launches May 1st. So those folks are in their onboarding right now. And it's brand new, but very exciting. Okay. And then my last question is, will there come a time where there'll be a wait list because this is such a wonderful service? How many authors will you be able to take on? And should people jump on this now?
I still have spots left for June 1st. We did fill May 1st. July's wide open because I think what happens is when people meet with me, they are excited. If they're going to do it, they want to do it now. So that ends up filling fairly quickly. So if you're interested in a quick start date, plus we want enough time to ramp up for you. So to start June 1st, we pretty much have to know by about May 2nd or 3rd. So we have enough time to get that rolling. So each time to start for the 1st, you almost decide by the 1st of the month before because of the onboarding and the access. And getting the access isn't hard, but sometimes folks don't know their password or they're getting that sorted. Like the reason that they're hiring us is they're already a little unfamiliar with some of their social media sometimes. So they're like getting that all figured out. And we're very patient in getting that set up because we want it to work for you. So what was the rest of the question? Did you say? It seemed like there was
would there be a wait list?
There could, and we could get to the point there's a wait list, or option number 2, we could hire another project manager that could support a whole nother team of folks. So that's the other thing that we could do. We're staffing for a certain number now and building to that. But, BookBrush has been growing in different ways. We don't always know which way we're going until we get there. So I don't think that's out of the realm either for us to hire another project management team and expand.
Yeah, I'm like I said, pleasantly pleased that you offer so many different things. I started as the do-it-yourselfer, and that was saving me so much time. So again, I'm glad that you have this other service, because as I grow as an author and I keep pumping out books, then I do get money back to where I can afford a service like that. And like I shared earlier, it's cheaper actually to hire you guys than it was to hire an assistant to help me. So I'll be checking into that. Definitely going to try the hourly thing for the book reel just to see. I don't think I'll need a lot of book reels, but I want to try that. So I am going to give that a shot.
I think that's a super great stepping stone, because the same designers who work on some of the ones you'd request on Hourly Concepts are also designing the reels for social media management. So you could get a taste behind the scenes and request a couple. We didn't talk a lot about Hourly Concepts, but you can find it on the BookBrush page, and you just buy a package of hours, or you can buy a la carte hours, and a vertical video like the reels is a 2-hour project. So you already know if you're sorting the hours that you might need or making a shopping list, those would be a 2-hour price tag.
Okay, awesome. And I put the Friends BookBrush, how to find them is at the bottom there on the screen.
Okay, so everybody says, well, you talk about these things, but what about the money? So I'll be front and center with the plans and how they work. So we've talked a little bit about both plans. We have a meta plan, which is the first one we launched. That's Facebook and Instagram. That's $5.97 a month. And I know it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but it's also a tremendous amount of work done on our side on your behalf. And it's priced pretty well for that. But that is why we talk about, these are indirect sales that you can be missing out. It can drive some of those things, but you will not make back $5.97 in the first month. But that's not what the goal is for people who sign up. What they're looking for is to expand that well-branded social media presence so that they have social proof. Proof that people like to read their books, proof that they're an author, proof of all these different things out there on social media. So that plan for Instagram and Facebook, we post 6 days a week, and it includes 1 reel per week. We do the audience engagement, and then there's just a lot to be said for hashtags. So hashtag strategy, hashtag management, how many to use, what types to use, niching down to get the people who are intentionally congregating at the hashtags that we're using to get you more organic followers, because we're not paying for followers or anything like that. It's through organic reach. We also do the caption writing, and that can be kind of another stumbling block for people doing it on their own, what to put in the caption, how to do that part. So we do caption writing and then compile that monthly report, which you can get in a call with your project manager or via email, whichever works for you. Any questions on that one, Janine, before I jump into video?
No, my wheels are spinning. I was thinking, for authors who are really making this their business, you are an author business, if you will, this is no different than if you went out and hired somebody to work as a 1099 in your business and you're paying them weekly. I was thinking about a person that used to work for me. Wonderful. She did blog articles. She did all these things, but this is so much cheaper. And a lot of the stuff she was doing for me, didn't even provide all of these services. So $5.97, when you look at it from the perspective of you're a business of one, and here's your support team, that's not a bad price at all. $7.97, same, depending on what your needs are. So yes, when you first hear it, you're like, what? Because authors, until you start selling a lot of books, it may seem like a lot, but if you're really making this your business and you're going to write for a living, this is an expense that you can also write off, so I don't think it's as expensive as people may initially think.
I like the way you broke it down weekly too, when you think about what you might have paid a contractor or somebody per the, by the week. Right. And that these things are just like, you don't have to do anything on your social media. If you give us access and we're posting, you could just sign in every now and again and look like, oh, it's humming along and things are moving without you having to do the work. So I think that is just kind of an awesome feeling, like something's getting done. I had a lady tell me she's pays somebody to clean her house because she's not getting that done. And it's important to her. She goes, I know how to clean. I'm just not doing it. And then she said, I'm going to hire you to do the social media. She said, I could probably figure that out too, but both were important to her. Both gave her satisfaction. Neither one necessarily pays for itself in dollars back to you, but both were really important to her for her author brand and her sanity and all of those things.
Yes. Well, it goes to that. What do they call it? Opportunity cost. How much is your time worth? And if you're trying to write and get those books out, your time is valuable.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll touch on the video plan just a little bit more. We didn't talk about that one as much. So that one is all video content that we post for you on TikTok and YouTube. It's 15 reels per month. And a lot of it is generated from that professional interview that we'll conduct quarterly. The full interview goes on our Book Brush YouTube channel. So that's there if you want to share that out, and then we can clip from that. And that's kind of fun to have on your social media and lets people see authentically you. We also have a tool that collects video testimonials from your readers, so we can sprinkle those in because we do think variety is nice. And then the actual little reels that look like a mini book trailer, you'll have a few of those. And there can also be reading like a blurb or two from your chapter here and there with appropriate video and music behind it. So lots of cool things happening with the video plan. Also hashtag strategy, caption writing, and all of those things too. Both of them start at a 6-month contract because, again, we really focus on the long game. And so there's just not a lot that's going to happen in 1 month or 2 months. That's our start where we're getting the traction and making these things happen and then building on it. So it also takes time. So that's why we do a 6-month contract for either one. And there's a discount if you wanted to do both plans at the same time.
Right.
And I think that, who doesn't love a testimonial or a quote? So I wanted to share this from USA Today bestselling Christian romance author Jessie Gooseman. And she started out on the meta plan and is transitioning also to do both. So she's one who said, no, I really didn't want myself out there. So that's why I'm going to make myself do it. You should do things that are uncomfortable, right? So
she's challenge yourself.
Yes. And she said, it's been absolutely wonderful to work with our team. They're friendly. Every single person has been focused on building her brand and focused on what they can do to help readers find her books. So we want to get her books in front of the people who would want to read those. We've done exactly what we said we would and made everything as easy as possible. And that's a goal. We don't want to make this a big time suck for you. We want to take this off your plate and make it easy.
Fantastic.
And so I'll put this page up if you're interested. We do have a link to book a call and just find out how would it work for you? What's your genre? What have your plans been so far? Who's been doing the posting? How would it work? We just talk through it. So that's a free consultation with me where we get a little deeper in how it might work for you. So, we'd love to chat.
Well, Kathleen, this has been wonderful. Thank you again for sharing about this new service. As everyone knows, I am a champion of BookBrush. I will always shout loud for them that they're a wonderful service and a great company. And check them out. I think you'll be pleasantly pleased with everything they have to offer.
Thank you so much, Janine. This was awesome.